In Empty's store, Carol desperately searches for any medicine or energy drinks to keep herself awake as ominous threats pound on a nearby door, attempting to reach her. The chaos began a few days earlier with the sudden explosion of a space shuttle on its return journey to Earth, scattering debris across several states in the USA. The media erupts with reports suggesting an alien invasion. Tucker, the head of the Center for Disease Control, arrives at one crash site for inspection and discovers a piece of debris contaminated with a mysterious organism capable of withstanding high levels of radiation and multiplying rapidly, indicating extraterrestrial origin. Unaware, Tucker inadvertently cuts his finger on a small fragment as he leaves the site. That night, strange symptoms manifest in Tucker, including profuse sweating and intense facial condensation, seemingly indicating a takeover. Meanwhile, Tucker's ex-wife, Carol, is awakened by her son Oliver's screams from a nightmare. She rushes to his side, comforting him until morning. The next day, Carol and her neighbor take their children trick-or-treating. At one house, the family dog behaves aggressively, contradicting its usual demeanor. Suddenly, the dog attacks a boy, who surprisingly shows no distress and calmly handles the situation until the owner intervenes. It becomes apparent that the boy is injured but remains stoic. Back at Carol's home, as the boys enjoy their candy, the neighbor confides that her son has been exhibiting unusual behavior, appearing emotionally detached in recent days. Suddenly, Oliver's screams pierce through the house, drawing Carol's immediate attention. Rushing to his side, she discovers a strange piece of flesh protruding from his hand, seemingly from the candy he had received. Meanwhile, a mysterious virus begins spreading rapidly across the country, resulting in numerous deaths each day, yet its origin remains unknown. Meanwhile, Oliver plays with his friend Jean, who notes strange behavior in his father, mirroring Oliver's observations of Tucker. Later, Tucker prepares a special drink for Oliver. The following morning, Carol observes people on the streets exhibiting vacant stares, indicating a loss of vitality. Arriving at her office, Carol discovers all her appointments canceled, and her attempt to reach Wendy is intercepted by her husband, who reassures Carol that everything is fine. As Carol pieces together the unfolding crisis, she realizes the virus is exerting control over people's actions. Before she can investigate further, her secretary offers her tea, interrupting her thoughts. A call from Ben prompts Carol to rush to the lab, where Stephen reveals the shocking truth about the skin sample. It contains spores that hijack the human brain during sleep, altering genetic code and causing instability. To combat the infection, they must stay awake until a cure is found. Meanwhile, Ludmilla informs Ben of Dr. Urish's erratic behavior, prompting them to rush to his home. At Urish's house, they witness his grotesque transformation, but their intervention triggers a violent response from the infected doctor, leading to a deadly confrontation. Afterwards, Carol is consumed by worry about Oliver's potential exposure to the unfolding chaos. She rushes to Tucker's house to retrieve her son, only to find him engaged in a meeting with his associates. Frantically, she queries Tucker about Oliver's whereabouts, skeptical of his response that Oliver is playing at Jean's house. Carol's distrust prompts her to search the premises, but she's quickly surrounded by the men from the meeting, instilling fear. Attempting to flee, Tucker forcibly infects her with his saliva, but Carol manages to break free and escape through the back door. Seeking refuge, Carol finds the neighbors also infected, leading her to her car, which she drives only to be confronted by blocked roads, forcing her to crash. Pursued by infected individuals, she flees on foot, eventually seeking refuge in a subway station. On the train, she discovers others with blank expressions, including a fellow passenger who reveals their strategy of feigning emotionlessness to evade detection by the infected. Upon returning to the street, she witnesses uninfected citizens being coerced into taking the vaccine by corrupt cops, led by Tucker's deceitful scheme. A perceptive cop warns Carol about her telltale sweat, prompting her to evade detection and continue her search. Encountering her neighbor, she skillfully deflects an offer for the vaccine, maintaining her ruse. Subsequently, Carol discovers Tucker's deserted home, leaving a message for Oliver before venturing out again. She encounters a grim scene of onlookers observing a tragic end, remaining composed to avoid drawing attention. Eventually, she arrives at the ballistic mansion, where Ben and Stephen are conducting tests. Following deliberation, Ben resolves to aid Carol in finding her son, while Stephen and his assistant prepare to seek a cure in Fort Detrick, Maryland, resolved to stay awake to avoid potential infection. However, Ballistic returns, infected and wary, summoning guards to the mansion's defense. Fortunately, Carol and the others witness the unfolding events through security cameras and manage to evade the guards by escaping through the back door. On the streets, they witness Wendy being forcibly taken away by infected cops, while Carol receives a text from Oliver revealing his whereabouts at his grandmother's home in Baltimore. Ben drives recklessly through the city, diverting police attention away from Carol, who continues on foot, bluffing her way past a police checkpoint. Arriving at the station, Carol boards the train to Baltimore, seeking sanctuary in the bathroom. The effects of sleep deprivation begin to manifest as she experiences hallucinations. Awakening in time, Carol cleanses herself of a strange flesh fragment before encountering Jean. Tucker arrives to escort Carol and Jean to his mother's residence, deceived by Carol's feigned emotional detachment. Despite Oliver's absence, Carol maintains her facade within the family. Carol searches the house and finally reunites with Oliver in a secluded room. Initially hesitant, Carol and Oliver share an emotional reunion, confirming their well-being with a heartfelt exchange. Oliver reveals that despite his regular sleep, he remains untransformed, leading Carol to realize his sleeping disorder medications have rendered him immune. However, their moment is interrupted when Jean discovers them, prompting Carol to swiftly fend him off and flee with her son. Tucker spots them and gives chase through the streets, culminating in a tense confrontation inside an abandoned warehouse. As Tucker threatens them, Oliver intervenes, allowing Carol to incapacitate Tucker and flee. Seeking refuge in an empty department store, Carol prepares for the possibility of falling asleep by obtaining an injection to be administered to her heart if necessary. While waiting, Carol discovers a room within the store filled with people undergoing transformation, including a police officer. With caution, she retrieves the officer's gun before sealing the room. As hours pass, Carol struggles to stay awake, resorting to desperate measures reminiscent of earlier events. Despite her efforts, fatigue overwhelms her, leading to a moment of unconsciousness. With renewed determination, Carol cleanses the strange flesh from her face and exits the bathroom to find Ben's arrival, signaling a glimmer of hope amidst the chaos. Carol rushes to hug Ben, only to realize he's been infected too. Shocked and terrified, Carol backs away as Ben invites her to join the new society devoid of crime, hate, and discrimination. With her gun aimed at him, Carol hesitates, but Ben releases the other infected individuals, revealing their animosity towards immunity, particularly Oliver. Faced with imminent danger, Carol begins shooting to protect her son, dispatching their assailants one by one. Unable to bring herself to kill Ben, she injures him and flees with Oliver in Ben's car. Racing through the streets, however, their escape is hindered as they become surrounded by infected individuals and pursued by police cars. Despite the car catching fire from a Molotov cocktail, Carol persists, crashing into the designated building's parking lot. They make a frantic dash to the elevator, fending off attackers to reach the roof. There, Stephen and his allies rescue them in a helicopter. With the vaccine developed by scientists outside the USA, the alien virus is eradicated worldwide, restoring normalcy. Stephen, hailed as the hero behind the vaccine, informs the press that vaccinated individuals will have no memory of the events. In the aftermath, Carol adopts Jean and enters a relationship with Ben. As they send the boys off to school, Carol contemplates the violence in society and reflects on the aliens' offer of peace, leaving the audience to ponder the uncertain future. And with that, the movie comes to a close. Check out our other recaps popping up on your screen right now.